So our next section is about using student data for differentiation. So when we talk about using student data, the first place we're going to start is pre-assessments or pre-test or some kind of diagnostic assessment to know what's there first. Our very first step in differentiation is always going to be some kind of pre-assessment. Doesn't have to be formal, but it is diagnostic in nature. It can be a survey, it can be a pre-test, it can just be observation, it can be a small group activity, something to help you know where your students are. For example, I made the mistake of thinking that my students already knew third position. I did not do a good job pre-assessing that skill, so I jumped right into something with that assumption and my students were lost. And so instead, I should have pre-assessed were my students comfortable in third position before I jumped into that activity. Using that pre-assessment data, then we can assess what are the characteristics of your class? What's the makeup of that class? What's their learning profile? Are the students in there generally visual learners? Are they generally kinesthetic? Are they generally, oral learners? What works best for those students? Do they learn better by ear? Again, what works for that pairing of students? And this can change class by class, day by day. Which elements of the lesson are important for each student? So what do they really need to know in the end? What do you want them to digest? Is the goal that every kid in the room is going to understand where third position is and how to play in third position? Okay, that's your end point. So really knowing what you're aiming for, because we may all have very different paths and ways we get there. And then what elements of the lesson are the most flexible? So where is it going to be easiest for you to differentiate? Maybe your end goal is you want to perform night shift. Okay, so that part may not be flexible for you, but maybe your formatives along the way are flexible. Maybe there are choice boards for halfway through formative assessment to see how they're doing, or to see how it's going with their shifting. So where do you have room to be flexible and create more opportunities for differentiation? So formative assessments are really kind of one of the big parts of differentiation. After we've done the diagnosing and kind of know what our makeup is, now we look at how can we use formative assessments to help us see where everybody is and where we need to go. Formative assessments are generally continuous. We have them throughout. They, again, don't have to be formal, but we're going to have them. They can be assignments. They can be as simple as observations. They can be everybody hold up your hand, show me what F natural is on your D string. Are all the violins and violas like this? Are all the cellos and basses like this? Again, you can just use simple, real-time formative assessment. They can be class discussions. They can be a portfolio of work. Last year, with so much digital learning, our students created a portfolio every few weeks of a skill, and then we were able to see the growth through the portfolio. It can be a test or a quiz. It can be some kind of a signal to check for understanding. Thumbs up, I got it. This way, I'm not sure. Thumbs down, nope, don't have it. It can be an exit ticket. It can be a self-evaluation. We just did a great self-evaluation on vibrato, or even a peer evaluation, like rate your stand partner 1 to 5. You have to use that carefully, but again, give us some opportunities to have different ways to formatively assess the students and see where they are in their path of learning. This is one I think that's really helpful. This can be an exit ticket. This can be something they hold up in class. Some teachers use red, green, yellow cards. I just like this because sometimes I feel like I'm making these faces like, yay, you got it, or okay, we're getting there. Oh, that wasn't so good. So, using something that's really easy. I think these are just, raise your hand if you think you're in the first smiley. Raise your hand if you're the second smiley. Anything. This can be really just a quick, easy way for kids to assess themselves and to let you know where they are. This is a rubric we used for our vibrato pre-assessment, and then we also used it at the halfway point. And so we had students self-assess using this, and then we will use this in the end to assess them. So we want them to see kind of where they are and then where they're going. So we give them some checkpoints, and there's a whole list of other activities we gave them to go with this. But, it gives them an idea, okay, what does a good vibrato look like? If I want to be proficient, it should be X, Y, and Z. Very clear on all of that. So we use this as a pre-assessment as well as a self-assessment, and we've used it as a post-assessment. Next, this is a pre and post-test rubric for a playing test. So we would give students an excerpt of music or a scale, and this is how we would assess it. So students would know very clearly what's expected with the notes, the rhythm, their tone, rhythmic accuracy, articulation, bowing, and musicianship. And then we would use this to provide feedback. So I liked this because I could write their name on it, circle what I wanted, and then just make quick notes on it and then go to the next person, go to the next person, go to the next person. That may not work for you. Maybe it's too hard to assess all your kids in person. Maybe it's better to do videos or some other thing, or maybe you can use this as a partner assessment and simplify it. There's all kinds of options with these things. The idea is to just keep assessing. And then we use summative assessments as our goal and our end piece. So mastery is always what we're aiming for. We're aiming for students to really demonstrate mastery. And we can do that in multiple ways. And having students have the opportunity to do so is really helpful. Is the student truly proficient at the skill? And have they moved to the next level? Look for growth opportunities. Sometimes we have a kid that's a high flyer, and so they already knew how to do the skill. So what have you given to challenge them? So maybe they were already really good at third position. Okay, move them to fourth. Give them something to hang their hat on to move themselves forward. Assessments should be challenging for students, but flexible enough for those who need extra time. And students also need an opportunity to succeed. I feel really strongly that with summative assessments that aren't like a concert, we really need to give children multiple opportunities to take those. We want to aim for mastery. So if a student takes a playing test and they don't like their grade, go home, practice, come back, work with me, take it again. I want students to earn a 100 on those playing tests because then that shows me that they can play it. That they know the notes, they know the rhythms, they can do all the things. Students really need to feel some kind of success to remain engaged in learning. So make your summative assessments not all super hard. Make them sometimes where they're attainable. They can be a small chunk of a summative. A summative doesn't have to be huge. It's just measuring for mastery. So make the skills small sometimes. Here's a choice board that I found online that I really liked. This one is using a Bloom's application, but it's giving different ways that students could choose. This teacher had students choose 3, and they recommended either like 3 straight up and down, 3 across, or 3 diagonal. But they had to choose 3 to demonstrate mastery. What I liked about this is this gave the learners choice. It also really had a good variety of the different styles of learning. The oral, visual, and tactile learners were really engaged in different ways here. So for me, I really liked this choice board. I liked seeing some of the options. So this might be a really good idea for a summative assessment, maybe for students that isn't a concert, maybe prior to the concert. This is another one I really liked. This is an alternative playing test assignment. So instead of just saying, okay, everybody's going to play bars 7 through 20 on Friday, this actually gave, again, students a choice. This teacher gave the students 3 different choices. This came from Angela Harmon's website. I've put her link there at the bottom. She's the orchestrateacher.blogspot.com. She has so many great free resources. Her website's completely free. Lots of great advice in her blog. And I loved this when I saw it. It really gave the students choice of what they're going to be comfortable with and how they can work to meet the requirements in a way that's comfortable and works for them. So I really liked having some options for the students. Would I do this maybe for every assignment? No. But again, just building it in, giving opportunities for differentiation.